Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Great America Show. Happy Monday. Thank you so much for joining us on this beautiful Monday night in America. It's beautiful everywhere unless you're living in California, specifically Los Angeles, which is currently under massive fires right now. And it's not wildfires, it's political fires from the Marxist left, from professional agitators, and from the Marxist Dems from within. Gavin Newsom, the mayor, Miss Bass of Los Angeles, absolutely allowing Marxist Dems, professional agitators, to overthrow and demolish their city for the simple reason of the Trump administration sending in ICE to arrest illegal aliens who are in this country illegally, who are committing crimes illegally in this country that they're not supposed to be in because they're here illegally. As we speak right now, the Pentagon has mobilized 500 Marines to send into Los Angeles. President Trump over the weekend sending in the National Guard as well. President Trump telling it how it is. This is Gavin Newsom's problem, the governor, who's allowing it to happen. Take a listen to President Trump earlier today.
He's an incompetent governor. Look at the job he's doing in California. He's destroying one of our great states. And if I didn't get involved, if we didn't bring the Guard in, and we would bring more in if we needed it, because we have to make sure there's going to be law and order. You had a disaster happening. And they now admit it was a disaster. I watched the chief yesterday, who's a good man, by the way. And he said, well, we're lucky we did this because they were overwhelmed. You saw what was happening. So we did the right thing. Everybody agrees to that. But you have a governor who let the city burn down, didn't want water to be sent down to him. And I sent billions of gallons of water. I wanted to do it in the first term. He wouldn't do it over, I don't know, they have environmental reasons, but there were no environmental reasons. I think it's just a political philosophy. But it's lucky for the people in Los Angeles and in California that we did what we did. We got it just in time. It's still simmering a little bit, but not very much. Yeah.
President Trump saying it how it is, as he usually does. And the place is burning down. You know, as I said, if you took the weekend off, weren't really paying attention much, we'll have some clips here for you. We'll bring one right now to check out just what these Marxist agitators are doing. If that wasn't enough, here we are with the LAPD being attacked by rocks and stones. Take a walk. If you're watching that, you might think that that's from a different country. That's from America. And our Democratic leaders are allowing this to happen. Now, the Marxist Dems, they're going back and forth on who's causing this or if it's peaceful or if it's not peaceful. Senator Alex Padilla from California, after showing you those two videos, we wanted to get those to you first because he said these are mostly peaceful protests.
The vast majority of protesters and demonstrators are peaceful. They're passionate. When you come into a community like Los Angeles, the way that the Trump administration has, you need to expect to be countered with people who are passionate about defending fundamental rights, about standing up for due process.
What's the fundamental right that I'm missing? That these are illegal aliens who are being deported, criminals who are being sent back to their country? Is that what the due process is that Padilla is talking about? Let's not forget, I've been saying for the past 2 months here on the show, those of you who join us every night, you've heard me say it like a broken record. I believe that the Democrats were staging another summer of love for the past 3-4 months, maybe even as early as President Trump got into office on January 20th. They wanted this to happen. They want upheaval to happen. They want to look like chaos has happened. And it's very interesting. The timing of it all is as this whole Elon Musk thing unfolds, as they're trying to push through the big, beautiful bill through the Senate. All just happened to happen at the same exact time as, of course, we head into the summer. And just as we saw in the summer of love in 2020 with BLM and Antifa, pallets and pallets of bricks are just appearing on street corners. Pallets of cinder blocks just appearing on street corners. I just turned 31 over the weekend. In my 31 years of life, I can't say I've ever walked to a street corner in any city in any country I've ever been in and saw just a pallet of bricks sitting there without some masonry workers getting ready to lay them somewhere. But they're just appearing over, on street corners, in the middle of the street, over highways, just so happens strategically placed where the LAPD were going to drive their patrol cars through. So it is paid agitators, but it is Gavin Newsom allowing for this to happen. Tom Homan, the czar for ICE, absolutely leveling him over the weekend, saying it how it is. He's incompetent. Take a listen.
I'd love to get your response to Governor Newsom saying, essentially, that your actions here are provocative, and the quote that he used was sowing chaos.
So Governor Newsom's an embarrassment for the state. He's the one that's feeding this mantra. He supports sanctuary cities. He supports sanctuary laws. If he cared about public safety in the state of California, he would not have a sanctuary for criminals, where criminals get released to the streets of this state every day because of his policy.
It's pretty simple. They're illegal aliens. They're in this country illegally, and now they're being deported. Gavin Newsom should be standing up for his city, standing up for his police officers. Who are the people who vote for Karen Basses and Newsoms of the world? And the mainstream media, of course, nowhere to be found when it comes to truth, justice, and the American way. CNN having a very tough time with the way that Donald Trump is categorizing this entire thing. It's an insurrection. The Democrats use that word so freely. It was like their version of collusion. 2016, they ran with collusion. Everything was collusion. 2020 on, everything was an insurrection, right? It was an insurrection. So now when Donald Trump puts it back on them, they have a very, very tough time hearing that I word. Take a listen.
What does your intel tell you about these people causing all the problems? Are they people ICE is trying to deport, or are they professional agitators?
The people that are causing the problem are professional agitators. They're insurrectionists. They're bad people. They should be in jail. Thank you.
It's like you queued him up, Priscilla. That word he used, they're insurrectionists. That I can't imagine that was an accident, because it seems as though that is the place that the White House is trying to get. And for the president, it's icing on the cake that he can do it in the state of California, because on a whole host of issues, he has had California, Gavin Newsom in particular, in his sights. The question he was asked was about Newsom daring Tom Homan to come and arrest Newsom. And the president responded, I would do it. And then he said, Gavin wants the publicity.
This is a very serious word that's being thrown around now, insurrection. That's a rebellion of the states or people in the states against the federal government. That is not something to be trifled with. If, for example, to your point, the president were to invoke the Insurrection Act, I think we would have yet another legal morass. It would be another instance of the way that the White House is trying to declare emergencies or insurrections in order to unlock vast powers which most presidents don't have access to. More broadly, the immigration issue, that is the track that we're going down with this administration.
It has been the track. Sorry, real quick, Vanu. I would say the Alien Enemies Act, which was the sweeping wartime authority that they use, it's only been used 3 times in major conflicts.
Oh, I'm sorry for making you all watch that. I'm like 10 IQ points lower. But the gaslighting is unbelievable from these idiots. Dana Bash and whoever that numbskull she had on there. The guy's a total idiot. Don't be throwing around that word. What did they do to the Jan Sixers? Locked them in basements, locked them in solitary confinement for years with no trials. Those are the people they called insurrectionists. The grandmas who walked through the halls of the Capitol. The guy who walked out with a podium. That was an insurrectionist. And according to his definition, it's a man who was overthrowing the government. But these people, what they're doing in California, that's not an insurrection. Senator Alex Padilla tells you that's a peaceful protest. Folks, there's so much to get to today. In just a moment, we're going to be joined by my good friend. What does he call himself? The public opinion aficionado. Can really spit that out. Mark Mitchell, the greatest pollster on this planet. As I said, a really good friend of mine. So much to talk about. What are the polls showing? Do the polls support what's going on right now? What do they think about Elon Musk? Where is Elon Musk? He's not at the White House. We're going to be joined by Mark, as I said, in just a few moments. Later on in the episode, we're going to be joined by Congresswoman Nancy Mace from the great state of South Carolina. So much to talk to about her as well. We're going to take a short break here. Don't move. Don't turn the dial. There are no dials anymore, but we'll go with that. We're coming right back with Mark Mitchell, folks. Stay with us.
You're still looking good.
I'm still feeling good. You know, I've got all your MyPillow products. Mattress topper, bed sheets, MyPillows, towels, slippers, blankets.
I'm interrupted this commercial to do something I've never done before. Get 2 MyPillows absolutely free on orders of $100 or more. I can't do this forever, so get on board with this great sale today. Our best-selling 6-piece bath towel sets or kitchen towel sets, just $29.98. Our famous standard MyPillows only $14.98. Queens $18.98. King size only $1 more. Body pillows $29.98. Multi-use MyPillow 2.0s with pillowcase $9.98. Save $40 on our Spring Percale and Giza Dream bed sheet sets. Any size, any color. So go to MyPillow.com or call that number on your screen. Use your promo code to save up to 80% on all MyPillow products. And when you spend $100 or more, get 2 standard MyPillows absolutely free.
Thanks for staying with us, folks. Now, as promised, my good friend and lead pollster in America and head pollster for Rasmussen Reports, the great Mark Mitchell. Mark, as always, it's a delight to see you. It's a delight to talk with you. Let's start with what happened over the weekend. I was trying to enjoy my birthday, relax a little bit, take like 2 days off, and then shit hit the fan. All of a sudden, piles of bricks and cinder blocks were appearing on street corners. And I said, hold on a second. I got to get to work because I've been talking about this for 2 months. What's going on?
What a weekend. And happy birthday. I didn't know it was your birthday. Congratulations. 1 year closer to death, as they would say. But yeah, it was crazy. I spent all weekend on Twitter as well, mostly making jokes about how ridiculous all of this is. I mean, just the idea of all of these pallets of bricks laying around with a big sign like protecting democracy brand bricks, you know, the little TM. I think it's hilarious. But man, what's weird to me is just how it defies all logic. And like to be a Democrat must be really horrifying to live with all that cognitive dissonance, because these are people who spent the last 4 years essentially cheapening the word insurrection. Basically anything's insurrection now, and now they find themselves on the opposite end of it. And it's like, hold up. But this was kind of super predictable, and it shows what a weird situation we're in, is that all of this stuff that Democrats are doing right now is politically not viable. Like they're supporting 35% positions. People overwhelmingly support our law enforcement. They support deportation of illegal aliens. And here you have Gavin Newsom standing up there and essentially making this his cause celeb. You're not going to win an election that way. And so I can only infer that there's nefarious stuff going on behind the scenes. Like, how can we not think that? Why does it appear like all of these Democrat leaders are itching for some kind of confrontation with the federal government? I can only surmise that maybe they've been promised help from foreign entities or something. I don't know, maybe our own agencies, but it's certainly not to win elections, because Gavin Newsom was polling like crap even before any of this stuff happened.
They asked Donald Trump in part of that press conference we played in the monologue, what is Gavin Newsom guilty of? And Donald Trump said he's guilty of running for governor. I mean, absolutely brilliant. You mentioned something very often, and Donald Trump was actually asked about it this afternoon. Let's take a listen.
What do you make of the fact that he says you want a civil war on the streets of America?
No, it's just the opposite. I don't want a civil war. A civil war would happen if you left it to people like him. And I like him. You know, I always got along with him. Never had a problem with him. But he's grossly incompetent.
He said the word civil war, Mark. It's something you've been talking about for quite some while. You say that America is actually in a civil war right now very often as well. What's going on?
Yeah, with this level of open lawlessness, with our own federal agencies defying the executive power, with radical judges willing to just do whatever the hell they want in order to get their leftist outcomes. It's kind of, in my opinion, like a cold civil war. This is not the, quote, political divisiveness that we had back in the Bush-Gore era. This is something totally different, and we've been tracking it many different ways. It's like two totally different halves of America that believe their own reality set. And one of those halves is willing to whip up their followers into a froth to try and get these kind of outcomes. They do it over and over again. It's starting to get really predictable. I predicted this as well. Like, we've been following risk of civil war. We ask a question, how likely is it that civil war will happen in the next few years in America? And the number's been going up. It started in the low 30s. It got up to 43% who said it was at least somewhat likely over the next couple of years. So listen, I mean, maybe it could be higher, but that is like stunningly bad. And so here you have Trump getting power. The political winds have shifted against the Democrats in a way where it doesn't look like things favor them. And yet they are, you know, pretty attached to power. And so it seems like they have, you know, a drive to really test the limits. I went on Tim Civil War Pool's show and we talked about this, and he gave some scenarios because this has been his topic of interest as well. And the scenario I came up with is, I think it was very predictable, that one of these blue state sanctuary state governors was going to test the federal authorities. And here you have it. And it's like we're back in 1860. This is literally people. This is a states' right issue over human representation, with states threatening to secede or pull taxpayer funding or do whatever to get their way. And so here we are. This is the Democrats and what they want for America.
Yeah, you brought up a good point. They're attached to power, but I also say they're detached from reality. And the reality is exactly what you said. I saw a poll over the weekend, and I don't want to give any credit to any other pollsters out there, but their numbers are showing what your numbers show. I think it was a YouGov and CBS poll. Two far left Marxist radical organizations. It doesn't get much further left than that. Maybe with George Soros is the little bit further left you go, but they're there. And their numbers show the same exact thing. Americans still now, months into this administration, support the deportations. But we're letting these people, Mark, overtake the streets in New York City once again. New York City. It's probably coming to New York City next, in Los Angeles.
Yeah, right.
And terrorize the city. These illegal migrants are terrorizing our cities, and we're supposed to sit back and watch. And then they have the audacity to say, this is Donald Trump doing this?
Yeah, no, it's sick. And the numbers, again, I think our numbers are probably a little higher than them. But basically what you need to take away from this is that mass deportation is a 2-to-1 issue. It's 2-to-1. And we've time and time again, it's not going to change. The number's probably only going to go up. And I think the reason we're seeing it in California is probably because they have as many as 1 in 4 of the illegal immigrants in the United States. What we're seeing, I think, now is the kind of reaction that you'd expect to see if a carefully planned, takeover gets rolled back.
Yeah. That's peaceful, Mark.
Yeah, right.
Peaceful. Look at that.
Oh, man.
Look at that. You see all those stones just sitting there somehow popped up. Roll back on that. Sitting there on the side of the corner, Mark. Stones just sitting there. Look at those. Look at that. Somehow those things all just appeared there. Yeah.
I love our late-stage capitalist dystopia. I love these images that basically look like something out of Beirut, and yet there's all those like high-tech VC-backed rental scooters lying around in the wreckage. It's something kind of perverse about that. There's a new paradigm of like we've lived through this before. America has been lied to about peaceful protests, and what the Democrats don't understand, or maybe they do and they expect a blowback. I don't know. But America, in my opinion, figured out how to understand the truth of these things, and it's happening on Twitter. But even back in, this was June of 21, were the widespread disturbances in U.S. cities last summer mostly peaceful protests, or were they riots? And riots won 52% to 35%. I think the numbers would be worse now if we tested it. And so, I mean, again, like even the month after they happened in 2020, people thought it was mostly criminals taking advantage of the situation, 57%, to legitimate outrage of the police, 32%. And this is like peak kumbaya, BLM, corporate global homo push, hand holding. And now we're in a totally different world where there's blowback against all of these forces. And I just don't see it. You have Gavin Newsom out there tweet storming and everybody ratioing him, and he thinks he's doing the right thing for his political. This is going nowhere good.
You don't have to agree with me or disagree with me on this. You don't even have to give your comment because I don't want to get you in trouble. But in my opinion, in the last 6 years, out of all the big protests we've had, Mark, I think the most peaceful protest I've seen is January 6th. In the grand scheme of things, you look at what we've gone through. You went through the Summer of Love, which was burning down buildings, destroying buildings. Absolutely. But you and I were in D.C.
Hundreds of injured cops.
Right. We were in D.C. last week, and I was making a joke that we were staying in the Capitol together waiting for Chairman Jim Jordan. And I was joking with you, telling you, look at all this. This was all burned down. And I won't say who it was, but a very high-level staffer said, no, that's not true. I was at work here the very next day.
Yeah, they did a good job fixing it up after all of that chaos.
But think about it, Mark. Think about all the protests we've had. Protests, right? Peaceful protests. In my opinion, if you take the agitators out of January 6th, the government informants, the paid people there, January 6th is the most peaceful protest I've seen, in my opinion, in the last 6 years.
John, you and I in the Capitol building did more of an insurrection than 99.9% of the people that entered that threshold on January 6th. Let's be real.
We walked around. We took some pictures. Let's actually talk about that a little bit, because you hadn't been in D.C., you told me, in a while. And, you never got to walk the halls of Congress that way and see the people interacting. And you joined me for a bunch of the interviews, which was awesome to have you, because I wanted you to see how it works. I mean, I spent some time working there.
Yeah.
And by the end of the night, where we sat down for dinner, by the way, Mark and I sit down for dinner with a friend of mine. All of a sudden, my phone starts acting really weird, and walks in behind Mark is John Ratcliffe, the director of the CIA. And then follow him is Kash Patel, the FBI. And then just
you took a sweet picture, yeah.
I got a good picture of Mark somewhere in there. But give me your analysis on how DC works, in your opinion, because you were noticeably annoyed by the end of the night.
I've been harsh on DC. I've called it occupied territory. I've called it an unholy alliance between global homo corporations and the government kleptocrats in order to oppress the people. Those are strong words. And I wonder, I feel like I have a duty to tell the truth as I see it to my people, since I'm talking about politics to my followers. And so it was a pretty good opportunity to learn. And what I think down there is that might be the case, but 90% of it is probably unintentional. These people live in a complete bubble of just made up self-delusion, I think. Look at, we're in an existential crisis in this country where, I don't know, months from default, who knows, right? We have literally cities popping off. And, you have congressmen, representatives talking about how they have friends they sit down with on the Democrat side. They go out to the same cocktail parties. Everybody in Congress just seemed like they were having a blast. They all got out at 4:30, went to happy hour, out in a sunny day, walking around with big old smiles on their face. It was just not, it seemed like a completely different America. These people, in my opinion, also don't reflect America. They reflect wealthy sons and daughters of people who got their kids into, Georgetown, and they got them an internship. And that's basically who's running all of these offices, right? They're interchangeable. They all seem like the same people, probably the least diverse professional environment I've ever seen in my entire life. And they don't, I don't know if they think how close we are to this whole thing falling apart. It just seemed like business as usual. And that's what we're fighting. We're fighting business as usual in DC.
You and I both had some meetings to attend to while we were down there. And one of the ones I attended to was with a member of Congress off the record. And I won't say who it was, obviously, but there's big changes, Mark, beyond what's happening in front of our faces. And one of them is one that the Republicans and Democrats don't want to talk about. And the audience gets very mad when I talk about this, but it's just the reality of it. And it's what we call entitlements, so Social Security. Now, some people don't agree with the name of it, entitlements. It's what they are. Social Security, Medicaid, and Medicare. And one of these members I was talking to had intimated to me that we're in a lot of trouble, that this thing is running out of money and it's unsustainable the way it is right now. Now, if I told you I had a solution to it, Mark, I'd be lying to you, but it's going to come down to, and this is going to piss a lot of people off, of raising the retirement age and massive reforms and fraud. Now, I wouldn't be saying that. Trust me, I don't want to work, Mark, any more years than I have to. You don't either. But the way that we've gotten into this situation is because of so much waste, fraud, and abuse of the system that it's now a system that's completely friggin' depleted. So we've got ourselves into this situation. It's either we reform it, we fix it, or there's no money. So what do we do?
Well, I can just say that our current slate of lawmakers are not in the correct mindset to address this issue. They just aren't. And so that's a problem that our republic's going to figure out how to face. Maybe we just need a quick 5-year dictatorial leader and then we can go back to a republic. I don't know. I think giving people, promising them benefits is just maybe too powerful. I think looking at our current crisis, it really was caused by LBJ. And let me first say, I don't think the voters should be getting the bad rap here. We've asked them. Voters want the government shut down to achieve spending. Voters overwhelmingly think that it's politicians' unwillingness to cut that's preventing us from having a balanced budget. I mean, we've polled about this all the time. Independents are very anti-big spending, as are Republicans. And so I think most of these cuts would actually go over pretty well. And then off the charts, voters have said they've been angry at the level of waste, fraud, and abuse that was exposed by DOGE. But listen, they all come back to, entitlement reform. Grandma's not going to be able to get her paychecks until later. The government failed in its promises. But here is what was so evil about what happened. When LBJ promised Medicare and Medicaid to the entire country or whatever, healthcare spending was less than 2% of gross domestic product. It was closer to 1%. Now it's like 20%. And so the problem is that promise just kept giving and giving and giving, and most of it's taxpayer funded. And so you actually probably could do a pretty good job cutting the heck out of Medicare and Medicaid by just reforming the way healthcare works in America. Because of regulatory capture, we basically have a medical monopoly that determines what gets spent on people because of certain illnesses. And it's always the most expensive because the taxpayer is getting robbed. And the fact that these people have absolutely no intention of even bringing that topic up comes back to, I think, it's awfully ROI positive to buy a senator.
Yeah, you and I spoke for this for about an hour, I think, over the weekend. The problem is everyone is so damn scared of their next election and that they won't get their $174,000 paycheck as a member of Congress. And, I always say I believe in primaries. I think they're excellent tools to get people out of office that should no longer be there. Some say you have to bite the bullet. Some say you have to, but nobody wants to do it. The Democrats are terrified to do it. The Republicans are terrified to do it. What this member of Congress intimated to me was that maybe they're going to try to work together to do it. And like I said, the audience is probably tuning out right now, like at an alarmingly high rate, but this is not me saying this as a person who wants this. This is what it's come to. The other thing you forgot to mention, Mark, in those numbers is we also didn't have 20 million to 30 million illegals in the country back then that we're paying for like they're our own. So the whole thing, it's not just these three things that need reform. It's everything that needs to reform. You get these illegals out of here. You stop paying for them. You stop subsidizing everything under the sun, school, hospital, everything for these people. And then maybe you have a little bit less to work with. You and I spoke, like I said, about this over the weekend. Maybe something, and I'm no expert in this, and I don't want to be an expert in it because I hate it. But maybe you put the burden on private companies a little bit more to pay for an extra year of healthcare for people after they retire to sort of subsidize, and the government gives them some sort of tax break. I don't know what the answer is, and I'm not the only one because clearly there is no right answer to this.
Our republic is on the verge of dying, and if it dies, it will be healthcare that killed it. An unwillingness to make the correct sale to the American people, an unwillingness to put the right policy in place. If we had just capped Medicare and Medicaid at the percentage of GDP it was back in 1970, I asked Grok this. You know what our total public debt would be right now? Not 37 trillion.
Minimal.
It'd be 11. So literally, we've given our kids' futures away to pay for sick care for old people. What's that going into? Drugs that don't do anything, oncology that basically just kills people slower, like sick care. We give people like all of these healthcare as a service to pay for essentially our unwillingness to live healthy, right? And I mean, I think corporations are partly to blame for some of this, but again, that's what happened, and nobody is addressing it right now. They're saying entitlement reform. And what that means, right, is that we're still going to give you the same garbage healthcare. We're still going to throw like all these expensive solutions that don't actually have good outcomes at people. We're just going to start later.
Yeah.
Or force more of it onto insurance companies or whatever, you know.
The other thing we spoke about, which was, you bring up a good point, is you remember during COVID, hydroxychloroquine, ivermectin, you know, they came out and they said these things are going to kill people. They're absolutely going to kill people. And, you know, like, it made me think about something, and I mentioned it to you, is Ozempic. All you read about now is Ozempic is making people go blind. It's making people lose muscle mass. It's making people's face go jaundice. And I thought to myself, why would the healthcare industry be so against people, whatever way they can lose weight? Why would they be so against it? And I thought to myself, think about it. If you put somebody on Ozempic and they have high cholesterol, it brings their cholesterol down. If they have diabetes, it brings their diabetes down. Maybe they don't have diabetes anymore. Maybe they get off of all the medicines. Blood pressure, maybe it brings their blood pressure down. So now by taking this one drug, you've gotten rid of 3 massive health conditions, which would cost the pharmaceutical industry presumably millions of dollars over the course of your lifetime. And it makes everything connect, Mark.
Oh, it all comes together. I mean, let's talk about fat shaming and the body positivity movement, right? Here's the problem. Listen, I love free market capitalism, right? And I think what we have now is not free market capitalism. And, you know, I think we all have to be a realist, though, and understand that human systems aren't going to work unless there's some type of oversight or accountability feedback loop. And ours is broken. And here's the problem. We could have a perfect free market capitalist system right now, but fat people are more profitable than skinny people. And capitalism will figure that out and exploit it. That you can sell them more food, you can sell them bigger clothes, maybe their weight changes, you can sell them different clothes, they could consume more health and body, diet products, and then they cost more for healthcare. So everybody profits. And that's obviously a really bad way to order things, right? And so again, nobody's talking about that. It's just like we are looking for ways to paper over our problems and maintain the status quo. But our future does not involve keeping the status quo. It's impossible. It's not going to happen.
Let's turn to something that you and I worked on over the last few weeks. Some mental health numbers. Why Americans are so unhappy. Actually, you know what? Let's put a hold on that. We're going to talk about that, but let's turn to since we're on the topic, let's turn to DOGE before we move on.
Okay.
Americans, Elon Musk. We'll talk about mental health because Elon Musk, I believe, is going through some sort of mental health crisis on his own.
Oh, that's the tie-in. I was wondering how you're going to do that.
I've been doing this for a little bit, Mark. Yeah. What are Americans saying right now in your latest numbers about DOGE?
So DOGE is perceived to be a failure. People are going to say, "Oh, hold up. It was so soon. They haven't had a chance to blah, blah, blah." Well, okay, but public opinion realities don't care about your facts. That's just what it is. And the polling doesn't lie. DOGE came in. It was more popular than Trump. It had a 55% favorability number. Trump just hasn't been at that level. And people were overwhelmingly happy with the idea of, for instance, DOGE auditing Social Security. That got like almost 67%. So people were paying attention to the stuff that was coming out about all of this. And even though Elon's numbers kind of declined because of the tax on him, DOGE stayed really high. But just in the last couple of months, something has clicked and changed. And here's the question set, and it's just not good. Elon Musk recently announced he's stepping down from leading DOGE. In this role, has he done more to help or hurt the country? Only 40% say help, 48% say hurt.
Wow.
And so that's a pretty big political blow for him. Only 66% of Republicans say help, and independents say hurt, 46 to 35. And then DOGE was supposed to identify waste, fraud, and abuse in federal government spending. Has it mostly succeeded or mostly failed in its job? And failed wins 47 to 44. Wow. Only 73% of Republicans say mostly succeeded, and independents say failed 50 to 38. And so what's weird about that is you could say, oh, well, maybe it's because everybody was upset about Trump because of this or because of that. And the answer is no. Like in this same poll, we have Trump up 3 or 4 points with like a 52% favorability number, and right track still in the high 40s. So there's something very specific. I think people are feeling this rug pull. And I think that's really what it was, where Elon came in promising $1 trillion in savings out of the deficit and looked like he was on his way with all these things he was showing people. And now all of a sudden it's like, oh no, we're going to pass this thing and we're going to spend $60 trillion.
Yeah, he learned the hard way about over promising in the world of politics. People don't forget, Mark, in this game of politics, they're not forgiving either. If you cross a voter, and I spent most of my career, Mark, working in politics, in congressional politics, talking to voters. When you cross a voter, it takes a lot for them to forget, Mark, what you did and what you lied about, and a lot of them hold a grudge.
Yeah. Republicans in Congress numbers have not been good here as well. The theme is that people think
they're not doing shit.
Trump. Yeah, well, exactly. So Trump's numbers are up. Republicans' numbers in Congress are down. DOGE's numbers are down. So people think that Trump's team is failing him.
Yeah. I mean, you heard me say this to every single member I spoke to, Mark, last week. The least amount of bills put to a president's desk in 70 years. That's on you guys. That's not on President Trump. And, we'll see what happens.
They blame it on everybody else. There was no cohesion there at all. Yeah. In any of those discussions, even the one that we didn't mention, was there no central theme of, oh, this is what everybody wants on the Republican side, and so here's what I'm trying to do to help it. It's literally like, no, this is what I'm talking about today because I feel like just doing my own thing. That's what it is. They're complete. It's like, and of course it's hurting cats to get anything across. Now on the left, I don't know if it's like somebody's got compromise or or Arabella is threatening to pull money or whatever, but they have no problem hurting the cats. And so Republicans just totally lack this. And what's crazy is that the Republican policy set is the most principled.
Yes.
Right? And so that's the primary problem. We can't figure out how to step up and make tough decisions to solve a principled set of issues.
Yeah, the Republican Party has no unity, and it has a very big problem with messaging. And it seems there's going to probably start to be some sort of growing frustration with Mike Johnson because I don't really know what Mike Johnson has done this time around. So he's got to figure out what the hell he's going to do here because he's running out of time. Independents are breaking on the BBB, the Big Beautiful Bill. What do your numbers show?
So these are brand new, not out yet. So I always give you a chance to tease the numbers here, John. What did I do for you? People are following it closely. 40% vary, 35% somewhat. Republicans, Democrats, Independents, they're all kind of following it closely, but Independents actually like most, Independents are very spending driven. It's something important to understand. That's where they poll most like Republicans. In order for the One Big Beautiful Bill to become law, it must be approved by the Senate. Should the Senate approve the One Big Beautiful Bill? Only 37% say yes, 43% say no.
Wow.
Now, compared to, listen, I poll more pro-Trump Republicans and older people sometimes than others. I think I get a more politically astute crowd. But these numbers, even despite that, are just not good. Only 63% of Republicans say yes. Independents say no, 50 to 31. Only 1/3 of independents want this bill to pass. Do you agree or disagree with this statement? I think this was this an Elon Musk quote? This massive, outrageous, pork-filled congressional spending bill is a disgusting abomination.
Yes, that was Elon.
58% agree, only 28% disagree. So that's 2-1. 48% of Republicans agree. Yeah.
The messaging on this bill has just been all over the place. And fairly confident it's not going to pass the way it is right now, just because of everything that's gone on. Whatever happened to them doing the 12 or 13 appropriations bill individually? Whatever happened with that?
Yeah, this was somebody's strategy. And I understand, like, listen, I understand that Trump doesn't control the keys to Congress. He can't make those people do, really, quite frankly, anything it looks like. But the one big beautiful bill, I think, was his attempt to say, listen, something's going to pass and I'm going to have to try and make it look like a success. And it does have a lot of my agenda items in it. And almost like he was forced to just let Congress do whatever it wants. But again, we're talking about existential level events for our republic right now. And everybody's just leaving at 4:30 and going to happy hour and drinking those eating those taxpayer funded steaks. Like, that's what I felt like down in DC.
Oh, that's great. Happy hour, bull feathers, and dinner at the Capitol Grill is the mantra. Yeah, I guess they must be making good money if they're eating $80 steaks every night, right? Yeah. So President Trump's approval and right direction. You've got some new numbers for us after the Elon fallout, and it seems America's united behind Donald Trump because they voted for Donald Trump, not Elon Musk. And Elon Musk was afforded a great opportunity to go to do a great job, and he turned his back on his friend. And this is like this is what happens to Donald Trump. He brings people in, he lets his guard down, he trusts people way too much, and they stab him in the back. It's constantly what happens to this. And I feel bad for the guy. I feel bad for Donald Trump because he has a guy who he thinks is his friend. Donald Trump brings him in. Donald Trump's his only friend. If you look, nobody likes Elon Musk. He has not one friend. Donald Trump puts up with him. Donald Trump brings him under his wing, takes him everywhere.
Unprecedented access. Yeah. The access is unlike anything ever.
And he stabs him in the back. I've lost all respect for Elon.
Yeah, it was not a good look. And I think he's embarrassed and trying to play it off now. I think there was probably something medication related going on. But again, we're talking about the future of our country here. You can't do this stuff. Like, imagine if Trump had some plan. I don't know what the plan is with this bill. I really don't. But if Elon just disagreed and Trump's like, no, we're doing this next, like, it's probably a problem with communication and expectation setting. But still, the fact that one guy can use his access and just blow up like that. And a lot of people are on Twitter. Well, here's the weird thing. I don't know where Twitter has come out on this one yet. I think Twitter will decide what it likes and what it doesn't, just like it did on the H-1B thing. And Elon came out on the wrong side on that one, I can tell you right now. But here's the corollary. Here's the law of Trump now, is that pretty much anything can happen and it's not going to change his numbers. 51% approve, 48% disapprove, right track still at 45%. Republican approval still 83%. So at this point, I really don't know what he can do to have his numbers get messed up. Maybe a default. I don't know. I really don't know. I think Trump supporters would probably rightly blame the Democrats. I don't know.
Yeah,
just don't know.
He made such a mistake, and it was so telling to see the people on Twitter who were scared about what they would say because of monetization and what would be done to them. Telling, but you saw what you needed to see. Before we wrap up here, Mark, let's talk about some mental health here in America on the case of Elon Musk and his non-prescription or prescription medicine that drove him AWOL. We did a mental health poll. Tell the audience what came back and what was asked.
Mental health is very important to understanding what's going on here, because I think the gaslighting operations, quite frankly, are starting to drive people insane. One of the things I've referred to is just how stark the divide is between people who watch MSNBC and Fox News. We've talked about this before in your show, but it's just incredible. They believe completely two different things. Like, the MSNBC people have been taught to believe that some nebulous threat to democracy is our nation's number one issue. And on Fox News, it's like, no, we're being invaded. They rightly understand what's happening. And so it takes a very special kind of mental contortion in order to create a reality in which you believe something that's objectively false. And Mark Halperin said it, with the way that the Democrats have been taught that Trump's a dictator, there's going to be a huge mental health crisis if Trump wins. And so we're trying to get a baseline, figure that out. And also other researchers, Pew came out and showed that very specifically, younger liberal women are off the charts higher self-identifying as having a mental health. So we just wanted to see, and so this is, has a doctor ever diagnosed you with a mental health condition? 23% of America says yes. That's like kind of high. But, you know, men and women are actually closer than we expected. 26% women, 20% men. But the age signal's interesting. It's like the 18 to 29-year-olds are 30%, but then the next age bracket is 37. So those are peak. So it's like we've gotten through our 20s, but life's not going well. And then once you get above 49, it drops off like very starkly, 15%, 4% for people over 65. Women under 40, 35% of them. But men under 40, 25%. So it's more of an age signal than a gender signal. Conservative men, 19%. Liberal women, 34%. Liberal men, 27%. So, yeah, 18 to 39-year-old conservatives, though, 30%, taking gender out of it. 18 to 39-year-old liberals, 43%.
Makes sense.
So we're not seeing the same level as what Pew found, but unmarried women, 32% compared to married women, 18%. So there's something about being signal, being a liberal, being a woman, and being younger, but still, it's not like smoking gun levels of massive signals that other people have found. But I mean, still, we're talking about a scenario where 18 to 39-year-old liberals are like almost 40% diagnosed with a mental health issue, right? And many of them are undiagnosed, and maybe some of them are overdiagnosed, and maybe some of this is autism or whatever. But that's not, I mean, just look at it like what we're talking about, though. We started talking about how we spend 22% of our GDP on health. Right? Yeah. And now here it is, 1/4 of all Americans. 20% in the past year have sought counseling or mental health treatment. That's wild.
I have to imagine
31% of women under 40. Currently taking one or more prescription drugs for a mental health problem. 20% of America.
Wow. That's a problem, Mark.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds high, but I don't know. You know, this isn't a medical study. But it's something that we should be talking more about because the signal is real here.
Yeah, but it's not 20% of like. Well, the question wasn't asked like, you know, have you ever been depressed in your life? This is, are you on some sort of pharmaceutical drug that you need to get by in your day because you're so mentally depressed? 20% is a very high number, in my opinion.
29% of liberal women. Yeah.
One day I'm going to have you come on here and we're going to talk about cats and parasites.
That's the cat is a bigger signal than this is. Believe it
We're
or
not
not.
going to give away. We're not going to give it away. But Mark and I spent about a half hour in the car ride to DC talking about this brilliant theory. And one day I'm going to have Mark come on here and talk about it with you so that we can.
It's not even my theory, John.
No, well, it's not Mark's theory, but Mark explains it very, very well, and it's very, very interesting. Before we wrap up here, we've got a clip of Mark from his extravaganza.
Hold on, it's Pollster in the halls of Congress. What say you, Miss Rashida Tlaib? Want to see if anyone's home?
Representing the people, huh?
Mark posted that picture on his Twitter where it says Mama's Caucus, and somebody said you misspelled Hamas Caucus. Look at how happy Mark was to be standing in front of the Palestinian flag and in front of the wall of doom.
Yeah.
Mark, you get the last word.
Yeah, you remember Office Space and how you had to wear like 31 pieces of flair? That was definitely Rashida Tlaib's office. She was peak virtue signaling there. There was a lot of virtue signaling going on in the halls of Congress. A lot of temporary LGBT flags that were going to get hauled off on June 29th. But again, like that place, it didn't seem like a festering fen of demonic satanic intent. That's what I was expecting. It just seemed like out of touch and godless. And we need better. We really need to be led by better people. And we met good people but it's not going to work out for us with what I saw. It's just not.
Yeah, they're nice people, but unfortunately, they're dumb people, and we need people with a brain running this country like Donald Trump, and we need far, far more of them if we're going to end up better off than in this country than we were when we were born.
Yeah,
Mark Mitchell,
my prediction: messy fourth turning. That's what we have coming.
We'll have you back soon to talk about that and the single cat lady diagnosis. Mark Mitchell, head pollster for Rasmussen. Thanks so much, brother. We'll talk to you soon.
All right, great to be here.
Folks, stay with us. We're coming right back. Congresswoman Nancy Mace joins us on the other side of this quick break. Stay with us. We're coming right back.
I hear every day about the products you all wish MyPillow carried. Well, guess what? We probably do. Slippers, bathrobes, pet beds, blankets, mattresses, sleepwear, loungewear, duvets, comforters, pot holders, aprons, oven mitts, and so much more. And they're all on sale. For example, get our best-selling standard MyPillows for only $14.98. Body pillows, $29.98. 6-piece bath towels or kitchen towel sets, just $29.98. Multi-use MyPillow 2.0s with pillowcase, $9.98. Save $40 on our Spring Percale and Giza Dream bedsheet sets. Any size, any color, and so much more. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to save up to 80% on all MyPillow products. And I've never done this before. When you spend $100 or more, you're going to get 2 standard MyPillows absolutely free.
Thanks for staying with us, folks. As promised, last week I sat down with Congresswoman Nancy Mace from the great state of South Carolina. A truly fascinating discussion. Here it is. Congresswoman, I appreciate you taking the time to sit with us today on the Here in the Great America show. I want to start with first, it's Pride Month. And it seems now with Donald Trump back in office, things are starting to go back to the right direction for this country per se, but there's still some things that are wrong. Just this week we saw Pete Hegseth making the big move to rename that warship something else from the connotation of a gay person because it makes absolutely no difference. Your thoughts, is America moving in the right direction as it pertains to this woke garbage that's indoctrinating our nation?
All it took was Donald Trump being elected president, and we're getting back to normal. I mean, this is what it's about. This is what America is about. And what you're seeing, like with the Pride Month stuff, our eyes are open to the grooming that they've done to our children in America, and they continue to do. And they're trying to hide it from taxpayers, hide it from parents, hide it from the federal government, all those things. But Donald Trump is awake. He's awakened America, and he's got more people supporting him now than ever before. He's the most popular president in our lifetime, and look at all the good he's doing. And look at Pete Hegseth, SecDef, and all the leaders. I mean, recruiting, I know, with a man's man like Pete Hegseth at the helm of the DOD, recruiting's going to be sky high this year. Everyone wants to be Pete Hegseth.
How nice is it that you can walk into Target this year for the 4th of July and you can see beautiful things for your kids, not indoctrinating.
Red, white, and blue.
Red, white, and blue, not the rainbow flag of your child who's 3 years old should be trans. It's just, it's so nice to see America moving back in the right direction. And it's not just with this whole mass media indoctrination of transgender issues. It's everything. I was talking with James Comer earlier today, and we were discussing the unity issue in the Republican Party. The Democrats, what I said to Comer was, you can put yellow snow outside, and the Democrat leader tells everyone to go eat it, and they'll all go eat it. The Republicans, you can't get unanimous votes on anything, even when it came to Hunter Biden, Joe Biden, and the corruption inside the committees that they overturned. How do we reunite and unite this Republican Party to get things done?
Well, the only way we can be united as we are right now is with Donald Trump. I mean, he's done more to unite the party than anyone in recent history. I mean, look what he did when we were electing Speaker Johnson. He did that in the first ballot. Look what he did with the One Big Beautiful Bill. And we don't agree with everything on there, but he got everybody onto the same page to pass it and work together. And so he's the great unifier. He's the one bringing the country together. He's the one that's bringing independents and Democrats to the Republican Party because they're done with woke. Yeah. They are done with DEI. They're done with the lack of common sense on the left side of the aisle. And he's bringing them into our party. He brought in more blacks and minorities and Latinos and women than any other president in our history. So he's actually doing it. He's doing it every day. And he's doing a great job.
The general consensus with the Big Beautiful Bill is the way I look at it. You can't get everything you ask for, right? It's a framework, and you guys got to look forward to winning in 2026. There's people who are not pulling their weight. This is going to be the first time Donald Trump's not anywhere near the ballot. I can't say it for you, but there's a lot of people who had their weight pulled with Donald Trump. He pulled them across the finish line, but it's not going to be the case anymore. The Republicans who are holding dead weight are going to have to pull their own weight to get across the finish line. Are you confident you guys can hold the House in 2026 with some of these rhinos?
As hard as Donald Trump is working right now, Donald Trump will bring us across the finish line in 26. I do think he's going to carry some of the dead weight we have within our party, because you look at how much he's done with executive orders and his appointments and secretaries in the first 100 days. This is what America wants. It's what they voted for. It's the mandate they asked for in November, and he's delivering on every single promise. And I think if he continues to work as hard as he's doing until the end of the year, we will have a great year in the midterms for the first time in a long time.
But why is it fair for people like you who bust your butt every day coming here, doing the work that needs to be done, putting your voice out there when, you know, it's things that aren't necessarily always popular in the mainstream media? Why is it fair for someone like you who's out there busting your rear end for these people who just want to come get reelected every single year, get their $175,000 paycheck, go home back to the district, get your summers off? Why is it fair?
Well, I mean, life's not fair. And I love my country. Yeah. And so for me, I will win it at all costs. I mean, for me, it's just, I'm going to do the right thing by my district, by my constituents, by my state, and by my country. And eventually the voters, they wake up to it. They see what's going on. And the way that Donald Trump has peeled the veil of secrecy, the backroom deals, what the establishment did to him, the witch hunt, the people saw through it. And I think you'll have more MAGA people elected next year. I think it'll be a big year for MAGA and MAHA and people who are more independent thinkers. I think it'll be a big year for all of us.
You guys have these town halls, which you've made infamously funny.
Yeah.
And they're set up, some of them, by these Marxist Dems who send in whoever's funding them. I don't know if it's George Soros or whoever's funding them. They send them in.
Commies.
And they send these freaks that come in to see you. The video's on Twitter for everyone if you want to go see it. It's hysterical. Well, it's not funny, but it's just this total freak of a person who's a woman. Then all of a sudden, Congresswoman Mace starts talking to her and she turns into a man. Very strange. But you guys set up these town halls where you're trying to get the word out to your constituents and answer their questions, and they're just taken over by these Marxist Dems. And that's the only thing the media covers. Congresswoman Mace's town hall, she's losing confidence in the vote, and it's just a whole bunch of bullshit.
It's bullshit and it's a lie. And like, I had a town hall in a small town of Yemassee last week. And we had both parties came, both parties were present. Democrats, Republicans loved what they heard from me. But because it was a nice, positive, well-done town hall, the media didn't want to cover it. Yeah. They want to cover the fights, the protests, the screaming, the outrageous act that Democrats put on. And people, they're really not having it. And so we will only do town halls if they're safe. I mean, people are calling in the office, threatening to kill me, my employees, my kids, my family, my dog, you know, all those things because they hate Donald Trump and they want Elon Musk dead. We've called these people to ask them, well, why haven't you, one, ever been to one of my town halls? Yeah. And two, if you come, what do you want to talk about? Yeah. And they just hate Donald Trump. That's it. And they hate Donald Trump because I like Donald Trump. They hate me because they've got Mace derangement syndrome and Trump derangement syndrome. And these people are unhinged and they're dangerous. And the Democrat Party has become the party of violence. I mean, that's what they celebrate. You have anti-Semitism. They just try to set a fire to Jews, one being a Holocaust survivor just a couple of days ago in Colorado. Yeah. And I mean, they're violent.
Yeah. It's truly remarkable to me. I was talking, as I said, with Congressman Comer about some of the people that you sit on the committee with, the Democrats. And it's like this place has turned into some sort of hood institution where you've got members of the Democratic Party almost threatening to like fight you. Like, let's go outside and fight. Like, it's turned into such a classless institution because of people like that. And we've normalized it. The media says it's okay. They'll go on CNN that night. They'll go on MSNBC and they normalize it. Nancy Mace is this, Nancy Mace is that. So-and-so is this, but this hood rat who's literally trying to start a fight in a committee.
I've offered to take her outside. So, you know, so I've contributed to that. Let me just be real because I don't put up with it. And I call a spade and I call their bullshit out and they're too afraid. Yeah. They're too afraid. They're afraid of Nancy Mace.
I love it. Watching your videos, it's just brilliant because how much are we supposed to put up with? What they did to Donald Trump, they almost got the man killed once and then again and then again. And it just keeps going on and on and on and it doesn't end. When is it going to end? When someone gets killed? When one of you guys gets shot?
Somebody is going to die. I mean, somebody's going to get shot. Somebody is going to kill. It ain't going to be me. I can tell you that much because I'm not putting up with it. But conservatives' lives are in danger. Look at all the swatting they're doing on conservatives. Yeah. Like, you dare not post your town as a conservative on social media because they will come after you. They want us dead. Sure. And everything they said Donald Trump was, they've become. He's not that. He's for freedom. He's for everybody. He's for the country. He doesn't want internment camps. They do. Yeah. I mean, they want conservatives dead, and they will do anything to get their wish.
And they gaslight, and they gaslight, and they gaslight. Alina Habba is doing a great job out in New Jersey. Arrests two of these hoodlums, and they said this is selective prosecution. Well, where were you guys the last 4.5 years when you guys wanted Donald Trump not dead but in jail?
Well, they said no one was above the law. Yeah. Until you're a Democrat. If you're a Democrat, well, then you're above the law.
Right.
That's how their rules are.
Speaking of above the law, Joe Biden. We're now finding out from Jake Tapper, of all people, that Joe Biden was mentally incompetent. Your committee, you guys investigated it for 2.5 years, 3 years. Everything that went wrong with this man, falling down the stage, falling upstairs, going. We now find out he gets lost in his closet. He's got prostate cancer. But now Jake Tapper is out saying, we had no idea, but we're starting to find out. He's on 60 Minutes, Bill Clinton. Yeah. He says, he's in great health, great shape. I never noticed anything wrong with him. Now we're going to Dr. Bill Clinton to find out Joe Biden was healthy?
No, that's right. And, it just goes to show 60 Minutes, CBS, CNN, they're bleeding viewers. I mean, they're bleeding viewership, and so they're trying to attract, I guess, Republican viewers. It's not really going to work because they spent the last 4 years, 8 years, really lying to the American people about Donald Trump, about Joe Biden. They've been CYA for Democrats for years now. Nobody trusts them, which is why alternative media, podcasts, the work that you all are doing, I mean, it's up and coming because you guys are telling the truth to the American people.
I was telling someone earlier today, we have higher ratings on some shows than CNN gets in their entire network. It's embarrassing that we run such a low budget, small operation, but people tune in because they're thirsty for no bullshit. They're thirsty that we can sit here for 15 minutes and have a conversation, not go on air for 5 minutes and then take sound bites of something you said, but it was taken out of context. It's the way of the future, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, it absolutely is. And you all literally are doing the Lord's work, and two, telling the truth to the American people because they cannot trust mainstream media. They cannot trust Jake Tapper. They cannot trust CNN or CBS or 60 Minutes. I used to respect these mainstream media as institutions when I was growing up. Yeah. It used to be fair. It used to be balanced. It used to show both sides. But the minute that Trump came on the scene in 2015, literally everything changed. Yeah. And I think, honestly, at the end of the day, it's going to be better for the country because we've been gaslit, we've been lied to for the last couple of years, and we see what they're made of. And I hope that they go broke lying to the American people because they are. I mean, they deserve it. They've earned it.
Yeah, they're scum of the earth. Can you believe it's now 10 years we're going on this political persecution of Donald Trump? 10 years, and they don't give up. Something's got to give. We appreciate you taking the time to sit with us. You get the last word here. The floor is yours. Whatever you want to sell to the American people, the floor is yours.
Well, I just want to thank the American people for delivering Donald Trump a massive win. Every day I wake up and it feels like Christmas. It feels like we just won the Super Bowl and I'm smiling from ear to ear. I haven't been happier and more proud to be an American for what the American people did on November of 2024. And it's just a true honor to serve, but also to hear those voices and keep screaming, keep yelling at Congress. Congress needs to do a better job, but keep supporting Donald Trump because that's what America wants.
And you keep doing the great job you're doing, and don't let those trannies get to you.
I absolutely will not.
Congresswoman Nancy Mace, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thanks, everybody, for being with us tonight. Be sure to join us back here tomorrow for the Great America Show, where our quest for truth, justice, and the American way continues against all odds, haters, all enemies, all of that good stuff. We'll see you back here tomorrow for the Great America Show. Until then, may God bless you, may God bless America, and may God bless the great Lou Dobbs. Have a great night, everybody.